All right, we're going to go for affinity. Okay, affinity. Affinity is a big thing. I'm going to give you 10 ways, not 5, but 10 ways how to create affinity in your business. A warning or a preface or whatever, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it, you do not have to use all the 10. Okay, you do not have to. Just pick up one and choose. Doesn't matter. However, there's at least one business, one company in the world that I know that use all the 10 all the time. You know that company too. It's called Open Circles. So I'm only sharing with you stuff that we're actually doing every single day, every single week. You saw that happening. I'm just breaking it down for you to see the engine. I'm putting the hood off and I'm showing you what we're doing. It seems seamless. It seems part of it. It makes sense or whatever, but every one of those were thought. And we chose to do all the 10. So please, don't get into the stress. I need to do the same as Open Circles. Just choose one. Maybe in 3 months you choose to add another one. Maybe next. We're doing it for 20 years, guys. This is our 20th anniversary in June. 19th of June is my first training, 19th of June, 1996. Okay? So it's 20 years. So we don't have to do everything. Okay? But at least you need to understand. By the way, Affinity, the reason why I have 10 is because it's so easy. Affinity is really, really easy to create. So, Affinity, remember, it's get them to like you, right? Get them to like you. So the first one, communicate explicitly who is your target audience. So we talk about it forever. We talk about it in Business Bootcamp, we talk about it in the Master Entrepreneur, we talk about it almost in every other training, that it's important to know who your target audience. But most of you keep it to yourself. It's a secret. My target audience is women between 40 to 60 that are living in Den Haag. But I'm not telling anybody because I might miss somebody. Okay? That's a mistake. Affinity is we want to like people. How many times it happened to you that you're... I'm trying to find a way how to say that. Probably you have people that are coming from different parts of the Netherlands or a different part of the Netherlands that they're speaking a little bit different. And when you hear this kind of speaking in the street or in whatever it is, you're trying to avoid. This is not people like us. How many of you has that or had that in the past? That we have, and we have that. It doesn't have to be, by the way, about that, but many times it happens. Okay, so only 4 people raise their hand, but I'm pretty sure that when we're honest with ourselves, we have people that we don't want to sound like the Rotterdammers, or we don't want to sound like or to talk to the Amsterdammers, kind of stuff, right? Or the Frisians or whatever it is, and it's in every country. It's in every country. Okay. So we have this judgment about those people. We don't really like them, right? Did it ever happen to you that you were traveling abroad and you were somewhere where it's kind of isolated, there's not a lot of people there, and suddenly you hear that dialect or that accent, and you immediately went to them, introduced yourself, and became best friend, at least for the duration of this trip? Anybody ever happened to you that experience? You know what I'm talking about. Okay? So this is really important. That's why we tell them who your target audience is. Because if you tell them, they feel that they are part of that selected group. You're not working with everyone. You're only working with women. So all the women feel a lot better to work with you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes. So if you want to work with teenagers, then tell them, I'm only working with teenagers. Then the teenagers will feel good about you. That's a way to create affinity, is simply tell them. And tell them why you want to work with them. And this goes back to Master Entrepreneur positioning statement. It starts with I believe, right? I believe. I believe that small business owners are the future. I believe that the future, the economic future, is not going to depend on the big corporation. I believe that every single one of you, as a small entrepreneur, has the ability and the creativity and the drive and the passion to change the world. Now we're best friends. This is called affinity. And I'm pushing away the corporate world because I don't want them. I could do the other way around. I would like to, I believe that big corporations, and then I'm working with them and I'm letting everybody else push them away. Okay, so this is important. The I believe positioning statement for the Master Entrepreneur is crucial for this one. So this is the first one. The second one, we talked about testimonials. Testimonials belongs to social proof. Okay, if you want to use testimonials for affinity, which you should, then get testimonials from the right people. People like them. So if you're working with, I'll give you an example on the opposite side, okay? And I understand why Vera did that, but I don't agree with that. Vera wrote a book which is called Financial Independence for Women. If you will go on her website, which is called balancedbusinesswomen.com, you will find out that she has 1 or 2 testimonials which are coming from men. And I understand why, because those are men that a lot of people know and everything. But this is not your target audience. I wouldn't do that, personally. Okay? That's why today, when we're asking for video testimonials in the Business Bootcamp, and if you've been in the last year in the Business Bootcamp or 2 years, you heard me saying, guys, how many of you will be willing to stand in front of a video for a minute of fame and tell about your experiences in the Business Bootcamp? And I get a lot of hands, and I say, I'm sorry, but we only can take 12 or 15 people. So right now we're missing testimonials from men that look like they're businessmen. So please, only men that looks above 50, preferably with a jacket, maybe a tie, that will be really great. Gray hair. And I would say I make a joke out of it, but actually this is what we want. And the people that are behind the cameras, they're supposed to choose only those people. And if a woman that is coming with her shawals or whatever it is, and she's looking like she's from the 50s or the 60s, we'll just gently say, listen, just wait a bit, and we'll make sure that she's in the line that we'll never get. Not because we don't think that she's great or whatever it is, but because this is not the target audience we're trying to attract. And we have enough from women that looks like they're serious business women, but we don't have enough from men. Does that make sense? Yes. We do that all the time, guys. Take testimonials. And by the way, you can take testimonials from everyone, but show those testimonials that people like them. And you need to do that. If you're working with big businesses, make sure that you use the testimonials from big businesses, not from the small businesses. If you're working with women, then make sure that you take the testimonials from women mainly. Okay, this is an easy way to communicate actually who you work with, and they will connect to you. Same goes for photos. You know, if you're using on your website photos, most of us are using photos from a stock photo. And this is something that it's, first of all, stock photo never look real. But what we found out is that all the stock photo that we can find doesn't look like Dutch people. They don't look like Northern Europeans. They look like Americans usually. Or I would get those, and we do a lot with photos. We did those PDFs that I don't know if you saw for last year. We did a lot of PDFs. And we had this Ukrainian guy, a graphic designer, fantastic graphic designer to create that. But he would pick up pictures that will be Asian suddenly, which I have nothing against it, but it's not connecting, it's not making the connection to the majority of the population we had. So I had to keep on telling them, choose for Northern Europeans in a certain age. He would give us the nice, beautiful ladies, you know, that are like, they look like they're 18. That's not our target audience, so please put the people with a little bit of gray hair, glasses, whatever it is, because this is how people can connect. Imagine that you come to a business bootcamp website, and all the pictures are of, you know, successful young people, you know, that they are, you know, I don't know, look like they're Silicon Valley kind of young, you know, startups. It doesn't fit. You understand? Yes. That sounds small, but it makes a huge difference. It happens to you all the time. You go to a website, the picture, the feeling is not right, and you go, and you don't even understand why. Okay, so that's important. So people like them. When you ask for referrals, remember we talk about referrals a lot, especially in the Master Entrepreneur. I think I mentioned that, but if not, I mention it now very strongly. When you talk to them and you ask for a referral, ask them, I would like you to refer me to somebody exactly or as much as possible like you. Okay? By saying it, just think about, I'm getting a few things. By saying to you, I would like you to refer somebody like you, what do I hint about you? Special. That you're special. Is that a good thing? Belongs to somewhere else, right? But this is it. But by this way, I'm getting you to look for people that are looking like you, and we know that I don't know what the sentence is. Birds of a feather flocks together, or whatever. There's a sentence I can't remember right now in English that basically says people that are alike are coming together. So if I want small entrepreneurs, probably small entrepreneurs know other small entrepreneurs. If I would like to meet CEOs of big companies, I probably need to talk to CEOs of big companies and tell them, bring me or refer me to people like you. Does that make sense? Yes. So when you ask to refer us, this is 2 words that you just need to add. People like you, 3 words. Okay, so that's referrals. I'm speaking fast because this is actually not difficult. It's simple changes. It will take you seconds to implement them, but they will make a huge difference. The next one, speak their language. Speak their language, and I see that all the time, especially with ICTers or doctors or people that have very high educated in their topic, very highly educated in their expertise, and they will talk to people in a jargon that most people cannot understand. You know what jargon is, right? It's the professional level or whatever it is. So you will, I mean, it happens so many times that you will talk to an ICTer and they talk in words that you don't have a clue what they're talking about. And it's very, very hard for me to sign a contract with or sign a deal with somebody that talks above my head. It means that they don't see me. Okay, so you need to talk to them in their language. In their language. I saw that once that there was a consultancy company that came for chiropractors, and in the States came for chiropractor, and they created for them the whole communication sequence and all the communication material, and they kept on repeating in the communication, they kept on talking about patients. So as a patient, you're going to get that, and as a patient, we're going to take care of this, as a patient. But chiropractors in the States already for 20 years don't call their patients patients. They call them clients. So, and the clients expect to be treated like that. Okay, I was now in Sri Lanka going for a month retreat, which is an Ayurveda retreat. It's all about healing. And they keep on, you get a patient number. And I'm not used to that. So every time they ask me, what's your patient number? And I feel like, come on, give me a break. You know, we are all Westerners there. I want to be a client. I don't want to be a patient. You understand? But when you do that, and you don't talk to them in their language. So you need to find, and it's not difficult. You should know them enough, but just make sure to use that. Lower the level of language so they can understand you. Okay, this is crucial. It's more than that. In language, there's a lot of that. I mean, you heard it from me, I think, in other places. But don't talk about them or about you, Yuli. Huh? Don't always talk in a person, to a person, because there's only one person that reads your message. There's only one person that sees your video. The only time that I will ask a question like, how many of you, is when there's physically in the room more than one. But in any other situation, you're talking one-on-one, and you need to talk to them as if they are one. But, you know, this belongs to the way that you speak to them. The next one might not fit for you in your case, but consider that. Dress like them. Dress like them. Which means that if you're a consultant and you're going to work and you're going to offer some suggestion to farmers, I'm not saying that you have to come with boots and a dirty overall, but you cannot come with a three-piece suit and a tie. You will not create affinity. Remember, what we're trying to get them to like you, you will not create that. You're not going to, it's going to be the opposite also. If you're going to talk to bankers in the city, you know, London City or in New York, and they're all dressed up with three pieces and a suit, and a tie, you cannot come with flip-flops and a T-shirt. I'm not saying that you have to look exactly like them, but you need to be close enough. Okay, I on purpose, no, I'm still, you know, this is, most of you will wear a shirt, but I will not wear a tie no matter what. Just not. I did that in my life when I was working in the city, when I was working with big bankers and stuff like that in software. I did wear a tie and I had a jacket, but I'm not doing that anymore, and I want you to work, and that's why it's folded. I'm not going to go into that. I think you heard about it before my story. But the point is that I will try to look enough like, so I'm not creating a resistance, but even if I'm going to people that are wearing ties all the time, I don't want them to wear ties. You'll see it in the business bootcamp. There will be a lot of men that come with ties, but you'll see nobody comes with a tie to the master entrepreneur. Okay, I don't know if we just took away those people that wear a tie or they learned to leave the tie at home. I'm not sure what happens. But, okay, so try to dress like them in that sense. Is that clear? Yes. I want to move on. 8, we mentioned that before, and for something else. Be personal. Guys, listen, all I have is number and a line. I'm sure that I'm jet-lagged, but I said again, the first one, complete explicitly with your target audience. Okay? The second one, testimonials from people like them. The third one is photos and videos of people like them in your design. It's not a testimonial, it's photos or when you have artwork. 4, ask for referrals from people like them. Oops. Have a look what happened. Can you see? Yeah. So there's going to be only 9. It jumps from 4 to 6. All right, so there's going to be 9, I think, at the end. Okay, 6, 4, 5. Speak their language. Next one, dress like them. Next one, its count is 8, but it's probably 7. Be personal. Okay, I'll give you that. You caught me on something. Be personal. Okay, remember, we're trying to create affinity. We want them to like you. Okay, we don't like a corporation. Most of us cannot get connected and say, I like a company. Okay, we usually tend to like a person. Richard Branson, the best example in the world. Lots of people like Virgin, but we like Virgin because we like Richard Branson that represent that company. Apple is a little bit of a special case, but still them had a face. Like him, not liking him, but Steve Jobs was there, and a lot of people that, especially at the beginning, that were hooked on Macs and stuff like this, were people that wanted to be like Steve Jobs. So, you know, this is where we can, and he was personal, not in a nice way, but he was personal. You know, he would answer every email that gets to him. You wouldn't like to get his answer, but he would reply personally to his emails. Whatever you need to do, okay? On my LinkedIn, to most of the messages, I answered personally. So it's true, I don't send you, and I'm telling you very transparent, I'm not sending you the happy birthday, because that needs to be checked every single day. I don't have the time and the patience for that, and I don't think it's really important. But I do check my messages on LinkedIn, only on LinkedIn, a little bit on Facebook. I'm checking my messages once a week or when I have a time, and then I will go and answer personally, and there's quite a few people in the room here that got for me personalized answer, and sometimes very, very long one. Okay, so this is one of my ways, being here on the stage. That's one way. You know, you find your way, but being personal is a way to create affinity. I think this is kind of speak to itself. Next one, for you it should be easy. For me it's not so easy, for two reasons. But if you can do that, do that. Remember their names. Remember their names. If you're working with people, and most of you are not working with thousands of people a month, then I suggest that you remember their names. And when you're contacting, when you see them in a network event, when they come to your business or you go to theirs, whatever, use their names. I suggest personal name. Okay? We just went to Tenerife right now, and we opened a company, and we needed a lawyer. And it's quite complicated, the process that we're going through, so we went to one of the top lawyers there. And you know, those are all suits, even though it's Tenerife, they're all suits, have offices with tons of people and everything. And we did a meeting with him, and at one point I told him, listen, is it okay to call you Antonio? I just asked, because everybody's calling Mr. Senor Cabrera. And I said, is it okay? And he says, he was a little hesitant for a moment, but then he says, well, it's okay, and that's it, Antonio. And that's important for me. I do that with my suppliers. I do that. I mean, I was working with a lawyer here. We had a lawsuit that we needed to sue somebody, and I took the best lawyer. And it's a lawyer that is does for the High Court here in Holland. And he's a guy of 70 years old, and he's the most respected. I just called him. And I'm not going to say the name because some of you might recognize. But I just called him by his first name, and he always in the emails he always signed as as Manir, he never, or the hair, or whatever it is. He never signed his personal name, but when I'm sending him an email, it was also always the first name. Until our CEO, who is a lawyer, heard about it, and he says, do you know who this person is? Nobody ever in his life probably called him in his first name. But I think that it works. Okay, so you will do whatever you think, but be personal. Remember the names and use them. That's important. I have a problem. I have two problems, actually, two challenges. Let's not call them problem. One is I'm working with a lot of people. And I can't remember names. I remember a lot of things. When you talk to me, I will remember. I will remember stuff from 15 years ago. I will remember conversation that we had on the sofa in Acht and Tachta. I still remember this stuff, but I can't remember names. I'm just not good at that. So we do two things for that. One thing is not going to help you, but the other thing I think it's going to help you. First of all, what we're doing is we're printing name tags in a certain template, and we make sure that I can read the names for 3 or 4 or 5 lines. It's getting a little more challenging now. But that's the plan. That's why your first name is big. Okay, your first name is big, first of all, because it's important for us, this personal connection, and because I can say Bianca, I can say Dick, and I don't have to really remember. Most of those people I remember because I've been with you for a few times. But people are amazed that in the business bootcamp I can call them their names. But it's sit in the front of your stage chest. And that's important. It creates affinity. People like it. People keep on remarking about that. So that's not going to help you because most of you are not going to have people with name tags, and most of you don't have to deal with so many people. But many of us are coming, introduced to a person, we shake our hand, and it takes you 10 seconds and you don't remember who you're talking to. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so I'm going to give you now a tip for that, which is absolutely not belonging to this training, but I learned that from the guy that is the world champion in memory. He's the memory world champion. He's a guy from Texas. I met in an event that we both were presenting on stage, and I shared with him this issue that I have, and he told me how to remember names. Okay? Anybody could use remembering more names? Okay. It's really simple, but it again requires you to do something. So you're in a networking event, or you're going to a meeting or whatever it is, and the person comes towards you, or you go to that person, and I'm going to meet that person. So what you're doing in those few steps that you're walking to that person, you're putting in your head the intention, I wonder what his name is, or I wonder what her name is. Okay, and you just put it again and again. I wonder what's his name here, or what her name is, what's her name. I wonder what her name is. And you keep on doing that while you're working there. And hi, my name is Nisande.
Hi, my name's Lynn.
And it's stuck. You will remember. If you did it in your head a few minutes, because this goes back to something else, and this goes back to my memory. I have a very bad memory for names because names don't have a place in my brain. But I do remember what people told me. I do remember that. And the only reason why I can remember stuff that happened 10 or 15 years or just 2 business bootcamps ago is because I care. If you came to talk to me, I listen. In most cases, I care. So I don't remember your name because I can't, but I remember something that you said, and I will refer to that. Okay, so if you care enough to say, well, I wouldn't wonder what his name, I wonder what his name, I wonder what his name, you shake the hand, you will remember. Try it out. People are telling me, whenever I'm sharing it, people are telling me, I tried that, it works like crazy, and you will not forget. Does that make sense? Yes. Try it out. All right, so that was a little bit about the name. And the last one, number 10, number 9 for you. Regularly, what we are doing, regularly send them content, either yours or otherwise, that might be of interest for them. Okay? Most of you, what it means is that when you meet somebody, try to find out some stuff about them. People hear from me if they ask a little bit or if they check around, they will find out that I was running long distances. I ran marathons. People would know that I'm a mountain climber. People would know that I'm a diver. People would know that, I don't know, stuff. That right now I'm into bees and organic gardening, stuff like that. If you will see something in a magazine or in a paper that you read about, and you see, hey, there is something about bees that is going on right now, I'm going to send it to Nisanda. So you just send me the link on LinkedIn. You created Affinity with me. Does that make sense? It's so easy to do. It, again, shows care. Okay, it shows care. If you know something about that person and something showed up, people. We had a project last year. The project that we had was Pencil of Promise. Is the one that we built the 4 schools in Laos with your support, with the community support. But we were struggling with finding a project, and I shared it in one of the trainings because it takes us usually a year to find the project we want. And then there was somebody, I can't remember what her name was, but she sent, it was you, right? I was looking at you and saying, I think, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to put it on her. So she sent me a LinkedIn message saying, listen, did you ever hear about Pencils of Promise? It was a very short message saying you should check them out with the link. And I didn't check it out because it's not my job. It's very part in the business and everything. But as time went by and we were struggling, at one point I says, listen, I remember somebody sent me something. I'm going to forward it. And I looked for that email, that message I sent to her. It was the best project, the best company, the best organization we wanted to work with. And as a result of that, not just that we built schools, we were now spending a week with the CEO of Pencils of Promise. Not the guy that started it, but with the CEO, and right now we're probably going to do a huge project with them, which is totally different than schools, just something to, gonna be major just because of you, okay? But that creates, I like you. I like you more than otherwise, but seriously, let's give her a huge round of applause for that. Thank you. Coincidence, the person is here, so all the stories are true, huh, guys? All the stories are true. So this is another way to create affinity. Just do that. I mean, how long does it take her? She saw that. She thought, maybe I'll be interested. And she sent, and I get a lot of these. Okay? And we're trying to do the same. I'm trying to do this.